Have you ever wondered how people found warmth when the world outside was nothing but snow and silence? Tonight, I will tell you a secret from the far frozen edges of the old world, a secret few ever talk about. The story of how native tribes survived winters so deadly that even the trees cracked in the cold. This isn't a tale of warriors or battles, but of warmth, the quiet art of staying alive when the wind could steal your breath. The sky dim with pale light, flakes drifting down like slow whispers from the clouds. A small village hidden between snow-laden pines. Inside, smoke rises gently from rounded lodges, curling up into the white air. Families rest close together, warm, safe, and wrapped in the glow of the fire. You can almost hear the faint crackle of wood and the soft murmur of old stories being told. In this video, we will quietly step into those winter lodges. We'll explore what they were made of, how they trapped heat, and how the people within slept through nights that could turn the land to ice. Stay close and listen carefully. Somewhere in a story lies a warmth older than time itself. The land of winter was not kind. When the wind rolled across the plains or down from the frozen mountains, it howled like an ancient spirit, unseen but always near. Yet, the native peoples did not fear it. They understood it. To them, the cold was a teacher. It taught patience, preparation, and respect for balance. As we walk quietly through the snow in our minds, imagine the deep hush of the wilderness. No engines, no hum of modern life, only the creak of trees and the soft crunch beneath your boots. Every sound echoes. You can see the trail of smoke ahead, a promise of life in this white silence. Inside those lodges, families rested shoulder to shoulder, sharing heat not only from the fire, but from each other. The lodges themselves were small worlds of survival, engineered with wisdom, not wealth. Each stick, each hide, each layer of snow served a purpose. They didn't fight the cold, they worked with it. In the distance, the aurora swirls faintly above, ribbons of pale green light dancing in the black sky. For those who lived here, this wasn't beauty, it was home. Each tribe had its own way of building against the cold. Some raised domed lodges of bent wood and hides, others built with earth, packing thick layers of soil and snow for insulation. The Inuit carved homes of ice, while the Plains tribes shaped their lodges from willow frames and buffalo hides. Men cut willow poles, flexible but strong, while women stitched thick hides together, soft and smoke-cured to resist frost. When assembled, the lodge breathed like a living thing. Air rising through the smoke hole, warmth circulating slowly through its belly. Inside, furs lined the floor. The fire pit sat in the center, fed by wood and dried grasses. At night, the flames whispered against the walls, and shadows danced across the curved ceiling like spirits at rest. No part of nature was wasted. The wind became an ally, the snow became protection, and the earth their blanket. To modern eyes, it might look fragile, but to those who lived it, it was perfection. The air is thick with the scent of smoke and pine. The fire glows low at the center, and the walls shimmer with the warmth of its light. Children sleep under furs, elders sit near the fire, murmuring old stories. Outside, the wind roars, but in here the world is hushed and safe. Meals were simple, dried meats, berries, corn, and soups that simmered in clay pots above the flame. By day, smoke curled out the top like breath. By night, it turned orange and calm. Each sound mattered, the crack of wood, the sigh of embers, the whisper of fabric when someone turned in their sleep. This warmth wasn't just physical. It was emotional, the warmth of family, story, and faith. Every winter, the lodge became both shelter and school, where children learned patience, resilience, and respect for the land. And when the storms grew cruel, no one faced them alone. As the night deepened, the world outside vanished into white silence. Inside, only the fire moved, small, alive, constant. This was when story began. Tales of spirits, of the first winter, of ancestors who once tamed the snow. Children would listen, eyes wide, while the old voices drifted like smoke across the room. They spoke not just to pass time, but to keep the heart warm, to remind everyone that even in the hardest cold, they belonged to something greater. Each flame flicker was a heartbeat, each word a shelter. The wind might push against the lodge, the snow might pile high, that the people inside felt no fear. They knew, as long as the fire burned and stories were told, they would endure. And so, another night slipped quietly into memory. In the heart of every winter lodge, the fire spoke its own quiet language. It cracked and sighed, breathing warmth into the frozen air. To the native tribes, this flame was not just heat, it was a living spirit. It guarded the family through the night, a silent companion that never slept. The glow of the embers reflected in tired eyes, casting a gentle rhythm on the walls, like the slow heartbeat of the earth itself. They fed the fire with care. Not too much wood, not too little. The flame had to be balanced. Like all things in nature, if it burned too bright, the smoke would choke the air. Too low, and the cold would creep in. The people learned this rhythm through generations, a quiet conversation between human and flame. Sometimes, before sleep, one of the elders would whisper to the fire, thanking it for another day of warmth. The children watched in silence, sensing the sacredness of that small act. The fire, to them, was alive, a teacher, a protector, and a bridge between the world of the living and the unseen. When the night grew deep and the storm howled outside, the people settled to rest. They slept close together, children nestled between parents, wrapped in layers of fur and hide. Their beds were simple, soft piles of moss, reeds and woven mats placed around the fire's circle. Outside, the snow pressed against the walls, sealing in warmth. Inside, breath rose and fell in slow unison, like the tide of a calm sea. Every small sound carried, the crackle of wood, the faint rustle of blankets, a sigh as someone turned in their sleep. Sometimes the wind would whistle through the cracks, and the fire would flicker, but no one stirred. They trusted the lodge, the earth, and each other. The body heat of many sleepers, combined with the slow-burning fire, kept the space surprisingly warm. Even at 30 below, the center of the lodge glowed like a heartbeat in the frozen dark. This was not comfort, as we know it today. It was survival made beautiful, shaped by love, patience, and the quiet art of sharing warmth. Winter was not an enemy to be feared, it was a season to be understood. For many tribes, it was the time of stories, of reflection, of strengthening bonds. The land forced them to slow down, to listen. When the hunts ended and the fields froze, life moved inward, into the heart, into memory, into the warmth of the lodge. Elders believed that the cold carried messages from the spirits. The wind outside was a voice, reminding them to respect the balance of nature. Inside, the crackle of the fire answered softly, as though the earth itself was speaking back. In these months of stillness, people learned the rhythm of endurance. They repaired tools, made clothes, shared wisdom. The lodge became both classroom and sanctuary. Every spark that rose into the smoke hall was a small her, for safety, for strength, for the return of spring. When dawn finally came, and the light touched the snow, it felt like waking inside a dream that had lasted a lifetime. Warmth, for the native tribes, was never only about fire. It was about community, presence, and the invisible thread that bound every soul together. They believed that warmth flowed from one heart to another, through laughter, stories, and silence shared between friends. When someone was cold, others moved closer. When food was scarce, it was divided. This was how warmth was kept alive, not only in the body, but in the spirit. The frozen wilderness outside could not harm those whose hearts burned with belonging. Many believed that ancestors watched from the winds and stars. They were the unseen guests, drawn to the glow of the lodges like moths to flame. When the fire flickered, it was said to be their breath. When it burned steady, their blessing. Warmth was not built, it was remembered. Passed down from one generation to the next, it lived on long after the snow melted. As the final embers fade, the lodge grows dim. Outside, the storm softens. The land exhales a long frozen breath. Inside, only silence remains, thick, peaceful, eternal. The people sleep, the fire sleeps. Even time seems to rest. This was how they survived centuries of winter, not through conquest or power, but through harmony. Theirs was a wisdom modern life often forgets, that warmth is not a luxury, it is a language. It speaks through kindness, patience, and the gentle art of living close to one another. So tonight, as you listen and drift towards sleep, remember this: in every cold season, there is a hidden fire waiting to be found. It may not roar or dazzle, but it glows quietly within, just as it did in those ancient winter lodges beneath the endless northern sky.